Saab at the top level of management, I think, has two people that together combine all of these attributes, and I'd like to introduce half of those people to come up, someone who has the enthusiasm and has the foresight and the vision and the ability to know every little detail of what makes this company work. I'd like to introduce Jan-Åke Jonsson. And if I may, I'd like to thank Peter Bertram for the Swedish language instructions. I hope it came off.
It was perfect.
Thank you.
All right, can you hear me okay? Oh, yeah. Yeah? Very good. Well, first of all, thank you very much. And we're, of course, all delighted to be here. This is an event that I must say so far has impressed me significantly, not only what you have on display out there, but also the level of enthusiasm among all of you, I have to say, very, very impressive. And I must admit that from my side, you know, we're very, very happy to be here, and I know all the people from the company feel the same way. What I was going to do was to talk a little bit, I think, about the direction that we're taking in the company. And, you know, some of it might be a little bit boring, but I would say, on the other hand, it's important that you as our ambassadors are fully in tune with the direction we're taking, and hopefully will continue to endorse our plans and our activities. You know, 40 years ago, which is a long, long, long time, I had just got my driver's license. And then many of you might say, gee, you know, this is a very, very old guy. But then, of course, you don't know that in Sweden you can get your license when you're 9 years old. Anyway, 40 years ago, as an owner of a driver's license and about $250 in my pocket, I had to make the very important decision to buy a car. And at that time in Sweden, you had basically three options if you wanted to buy a car, and if you were a young guy like I was. And that was, you could buy a Saab, you could buy a Volvo, or you could buy a Beetle, a VW. Those were the three. If you picked a Ford or something, you were like lost, right? That was like the worst you could do, right? So I had these three to choose from. And at the end, I bought a Saab. I bought a Saab 96, model year 64. First four-speed gearbox, you know, freewheel and all the other goodies that you had on those models. And of course, it was not new. $250 didn't take me that far, but it was a fantastic car. I bought it from two ladies that actually had bought it brand new, but they found this car to be so boring in terms of the instrumentation that they decided to paint this car, the dashboard, pink. And you can imagine, when I invited my friends and had a dashboard that was pink, all the, you know, amusing comments I got from that, I think is not appropriate for this very distinct audience. But anyway, what I would like to say is that little did I know, of course, that I would be standing here about almost exactly 40 years later to be the head of Saab and to talk to you about what has happened in the last 2 years, I would say, and the bright future we have ahead of us. It's, of course, a tremendous privilege for me to do that. You can just imagine what would have happened and what kind of language I would have used if I had selected a Volvo. But that is another story, I would say, that we'll, I'm sure, learn more about. Let's see if I can get this to work. Okay, so what I would like to talk about is give you a little bit of insight, I would say, what happened over the last couple of years, but in very, very short terms. But more importantly, I would say, talk about the future and the direction of the company. I would say that the 23rd of February was, of course, a fantastic day for us. That was the day when Spyker Cars and General Motors signed the agreement to close the transaction and purchase Saab. It was also the time when we signed an agreement with the European Investment Bank and the Swedish government as it relates to funding of our business going forward. And we left basically that day with a new owner, but also a fully funded business plan. When Victor and I came to Trollhättan that day, we drove into the main gate, and Victor asked me, because he saw that the Swedish flag was at full mast. And he said, you know, what's the occasion? Or what's happening in Sweden this day? And I honestly said to him, I don't know. I don't think we have a holiday or anything. I'm not aware of anything. So what we did was that when we went to the canteen for lunch, we walked by the flag, and we have a little sign that actually explains what's the purpose. And when Victor and I walked up to there and we read what was on the sign, it was pretty amazing. It says, day one. And I would say that really shows the spirit of the organization after this drama that we have gone through over the last, I would say, 2 years at this point. And of course, I would say that the support that we have received from throughout the world, where also you have played a key part of that, has been tremendous for us. It has not only, I would say, had an impact on decision makers in many different organizations, but it has, more importantly, I would say, kept the spirit at a very, very high level during this period of time. As you know, we're probably one of the companies that have gone through everything there possibly can be in terms of the company and difficulties, whether you talk about downsizing, reprioritizing, liquidation, reconstruction, you name it, we have done it all. And I would say, without this support that we have experienced from, call it this informal club throughout the world that has a soft spot for Saab in their heart, without that, I would say we wouldn't be where we are today. And we're very, very appreciative of that. From that point on, the 23rd of February, of course, we restarted the business. And some of you might say, yeah, that's not a big deal to put a new organization in place and get going and start selling cars like we've done historically. But when we went through the plant during that time, this is what you could experience. This is how the plant actually looked like. It was totally empty because during 7 weeks, we were in liquidation, a decision that General Motors made as it relates to our overall business. We had no material. We stopped a lot of the product development, no activities in the marketplace, et cetera, et cetera. So we started basically the business with an empty plant. And what has happened over the last 5 months is, of course, that we're happy that we now, during 3.5, 4 months, have been building cars. And it might sound like, yeah, it's just to get started. But then you have to remember that on the new 9.5, as an example, we have 828 suppliers of components into the 9.5. And they all have to get restarted.